many people try to read it and they got so frightened and they don't want to continue. But let me make this statement. If you are a Christian and if you read the book of Revelation and if you get any kind of fear, probably you are not born again. Probably you are not born again. If you are a born again person, book of Revelation should only comfort you. It should not really give you a kind of confusion. ప్రకటన గ్రంథం ఒక విశ్వాసి చదివితే ఆదరణ ఇవ్వాలి కానీ ఆందోళన కలిగించడానికి వీలు లేదు. అది ఎందుకు అనంటే the book of Revelation was written only to comfort a person who is going through persecution. Book of Revelation was written to comfort a person who was going through persecution. కష్టాల గుండా వెళ్తున్నటువంటి వ్యక్తిని ఆదరించడానికి రాయబడినటువంటి గ్రంథమే ప్రకటన గ్రంథం. To give you a kind of a introduction to this, there was an emperor by name Domitian. Domitian is a very horrible emperor. He is horrible because he claimed himself to be the Lord. He had a coin on which he had the picture of his son. His son was only 8 months or 9 months old, completely naked, and this son will be standing like this. I mean, literally he will be sleeping like this. There will be 7 stars around his hand, and the coin says, son of Domitian is son of God. Son of Domitian is son of God. What he meant was this: I am God and my son is son of God. So everybody should accept that Domitian is God. If anybody doesn't accept that Domitian is God, every Roman emperor has a method of persecuting Christians. For example, Nero used to burn the people, and there was a emperor by name Augustus. He used to throw the people into the den of lions. Domitian used to punish the people in a different way. If you kill a person on the cross, like Trajan did this, the person used to die in 6-7 days. If you throw a person into a den of lions, people will be killed in 10-15 minutes. But if you throw a person into an island which is not inhabited by people sometimes live there for 1 year, 1.5 years, but extreme difficulty. They will be going through a lot of persecution. No food, no water, there will be poisonous animals there, and they will be bitten by them. So it's a horrible situation. Domitian used to follow that. He used to throw the people in the islands. There is an island by name Patmos. Patmos is 73 kilometers south of Turkey. Though it is south of Turkey, in fact closer to Turkey, but it belongs to Greece. And this island, Patmos, is in the shape of a crescent, that is the moon. Okay, and the length of the island will be around 8 miles, and the width is about 5 miles. It's an island which is not inhabited. John, who was one of the disciples at that time, in fact the last disciple, all the disciples by that time were killed. John was the only disciple who was never martyred. They were trying to kill him, but John did not die. యోహాన్ని చంపడానికి చాలా రకాల ప్రయత్నాలు జరిగినాయి, కానీ యోహాన్ని దేవుడు చావనివ్వకుండా ఉంచాడు. So this man threw John into the Patmos island. So when you are thrown into an island, you are sure that you are going to die there. You are sure that you are not going to come out. So that's the situation. So he's in a no-man island, almost alone, and he's struggling there. On one of the Sundays, in the middle of the island, there is a cave. John was actually spending that Sunday in that cave. So because it is Sunday, he was trying to have a time of worship. దేవుణ్ణి ఆరాధిస్తూ ఉన్నాడు. As he was spending time in worship, suddenly he heard the sound of a flowing river. He turned around. There was bright light, and from between the light, he found a face, a person. He suddenly recognized. He saw that person 60 years ago. He recognized, and then he immediately fell down, prostrate, to worship him. That man walked forward, lifted up John, and he said, "Hey, don't worry buddy, I'm here with you. And that person is Jesus Christ. He gave John a glimpse of how Jesus would be in heaven. John recognized Jesus Christ because only 3 persons had the privilege of seeing how Jesus would be in heaven. You remember? Jesus has taken 3 disciples, John, James, and Peter, onto Mount Tabor, and he got transfigured. And remember, Peter said, we will have the tents here and stay here. But Jesus brought them down. So they had the glimpse of Jesus Christ. So Yohaniki a picture gurtundi, Yohaniki a image gurtundi. 60 సంవత్సరాల తర్వాత యోహాను ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఈజ్ నౌ 93 or 94 years old, pretty old person, చాలా ముసలివాడు. He suddenly recognized Jesus Christ and fell on his feet, and Jesus says, don't be frightened, get up, lay అని Jesus Christ యోహాన్ని లేపాడు. లేపి Jesus Christ in the process appeared to John 4 times, and he said, hey, I want to tell you something. You write and send them to the people, and write and send them to 7 churches. Jesus actually gave 3 kinds of informations to John. If you want to know what is the outline of book of Revelation, it's very simple. If you have your Bibles, open with me to book of Revelation chapter 1. Book of Revelation chapter 1, right, verse 19. Book of Revelation chapter 1, verse 19. Jesus Christ gives a kind of an outline to the book of Revelation. I'm reading verse 19. Write therefore the things that you have seen, those that are, and those that are to take place after this. నువ్వు చూచినవి, ఉన్నవి, జరగబోయే వాటిని 3 విషయాలు రాయమంటున్నాడు. What you have seen, what they are, and what are going to happen. So these are the 3 things John has to write. Chapter 1 is what he has seen. Chapter 2 and 3, what they are. From chapter 4 onwards, what's going to happen. So these are the 3 sections of the book of Revelation. Chapter 1 is what he has seen. మొదటి అధ్యాయంలో తాను చూసిన వాటిని రాశాడు. What he has seen Jesus Christ. పరలోకంలో యేసయ్య ఎలా ఉంటాడో యేసయ్య యోహానికి చూపించుకున్నాడు. ఎందుకు చూపించుకున్నాడు అని అంటే, మీకు పెళ్లి కాని వాళ్ళు ఎవరైనా ఉన్నారనుకోండి, వాళ్ళకి పెళ్లి సంబంధం కోసం ఒక ప్రపోజల్ తీసుకొస్తారు. అబ్బాయి సాఫ్ట్వేర్ అంట, ఎంఎస్ చేశాడు, యుఎస్లో ఉన్నాడు, గ్రీన్ కార్డ్ ఉంది, అవునా, మంచి పొజిషనా, బాగుంది, ఏజ్ ఎంత, 29, సెట్ అవుతాడా, అయితే ఒకసారి పిక్చర్ చూపిస్తారా అని అడుగుతారు. దట్స్ వాట్ ది ఫైనల్ స్టేజ్ ఇస్. కెన్ ఐ సీ హిస్ పిక్చర్, కెన్ ఐ హ్యావ్ ఎ గ్లింప్స్ ఆఫ్ దట్ పర్సన్. అదేవిధంగా యేసయ్య పెళ్లి చేసుకోబోయే సంఘానికి తన ప్రొఫైల్ ఇస్తున్నాడు. నా హైట్ 6'3" ఉంటుంది, నేను ఛాతీకి బంగారం వేసుకుంటాను, నెత్తికేమో ఎంటుకలు వూలువలే ఉంటాయి, నేను వేసుకునేటువంటి బట్టలు వైట్గా ఉంటాయి, నా కాళ్ళేమో బ్రాన్స్తో ఉంటుంది, నా కళ్ళేమో ఫైర్ లాగా ఉంటాయి, నా నాలుకేమో స్వాడ్ లాగా ఉంటుంది, నా వాయిస్ ఏమో రివర్ లాగా ఉంటుంది అని తన ప్రొఫైల్ ఇచ్చాడు. ఇచ్చి నా ఫేస్ ఎలా ఉంటుందో కావాలా, ఓ పిక్చర్ తీసుకో అని ఇచ్చాడు అనమాట. That's the picture of Jesus Christ. He gave us an idea how he would be in heaven. So chapter 1 gives us 10 different characters how Jesus looks at, from verse 13 to verse 17. 10 different characters. I'm just giving you an idea. If you go back and read, you will definitely enjoy the book of Revelation. Okay, that's chapter 1, what he has seen. Chapter 2 and 3, what they are. There are several churches at that time. There are several churches. But Jesus has picked up 7 churches. Yesaya 7 సంఘాల్ని పికప్ చేసుకున్నాడు. And let me give you one more thing. The book of Revelation predominantly is futuristic. Book of Revelation is predominantly prophetic. Book of Revelation is predominantly what is going to happen. What is going to happen. So technically it is called eschatological writing. Eschatological writing means the things that are going to happen. So in the Jewish culture, in the eschatological type of writing, you have lot of figurative words. Indians can understand figurative language. Americans cannot understand figurative language. Western people are straight, but Eastern people are very complex. Western people, they don't have masala. Eastern people have masala. Western people are very lenient. They speak very straight. He's a good person. That's all. They don't have any other word. I appreciate you. That's the only word they have. Nothing more. But in Eastern culture, you have 110 words for appreciation. Nuvu super rabai, nuvu khatarnak rabai, nuvu adbhutam rabai. You have used so many words, but Western people don't have. And the only word they can use is, thank you so much, I appreciate you. That's it. Not more than that. But in the Eastern style, you have complex words. You have different words. Because Eastern people are more into expression. Eschatological language is very expressive. They use different kinds of words. So, if you look at the book of Revelation, Jewish people don't find it very difficult. They can easily understand because that is their style of writing. That is their style of speaking. If I have to give a glimpse, 404 verses are there in book of Revelation. 404 verses. Among those 404 verses, it is astonishing to find 560 times Old Testament has been referred. 560 times Old Testament has been referred. So, for a Jewish reader, book of Revelation is not difficult. But for us, it is difficult. When you read about 7 stars, you will ask, what is these 7 stars? But a Jewish man doesn't ask that because Zechariah has written about that. When you read about the 4 animals, you may find it, what is these 4 animals? But Ezekiel has written about the 4 animals. If you read about the 4 faces of God, you may be worried. But a Jewish person doesn't worry because Daniel has already written about it. All the pictures you have in the book of Revelation, they have been given in the Old Testament. So if you want to truly understand the book of Revelation, you must have a fair understanding of the Old Testament. Then only you can understand. Because 560 times the Old Testament has been referred. In the Jewish culture, several numbers are used as words. I'm repeating it. Several numbers are used as words. చాలా అంకెలు పదాల్లాగా వాడారు. చాలా అంకెలు పదాల్లాగా వాడారంటే ఆర్థర్ నాలాంటి వాడిని పిలిచి ఎడ్వర్డ్ విలియం గారు 2 మాటలు చెప్తారు అని అంటే, వాట్ యు మీన్ బై 2 మాటలు? గుడ్ మార్నింగ్, నేను ఇంటికి వెళ్ళిపోతున్నాను అని అంటవా? వాట్ హీ మీన్స్ ఈజ్ కొన్ని మాటలు చెప్తారు. ఒకవేళ మీరు ఇండియా వెళ్ళారనుకోండి, యూ గో టు ఇండియా, సడన్గా మీ ఫ్రెండ్ ఎవరో కలుస్తారు. ఏరా బాయ్ ఎప్పుడు వచ్చావు? మొన్న వచ్చినా. 2 రోజులు ఉంటావా? లేదురా 4 రోజులు ఉంటాను. Now, what do you mean by 2 రోజులు 4 రోజులు? 2 రోజులు మించి కొన్ని రోజులు, 4 రోజులు మించి ఎక్కువ రోజులు. That's the meaning of it. Got it? 4 రోజులు అని చెప్తే కనుక ఇవాళ 23 చెప్పాడు, 4 రోజులు 20 లేరా 4 రోజులు అయిపోయింది ఇంకా ఉన్నావే అని అడవు. You got it? So what you mean to say is 2 is few, 4 is more. In the same way, Jewish culture has numbers and they have words, they have meaning. For example, 5 రొట్లు 2 చేపలు తిన్న తర్వాత ముక్కలన్నీ కింద పడ్డాయి. ఎన్ని కంపలు ఎత్తారు? అంటే మీరేమనుకుంటారు, అక్కడ 12 కంపలు ఉన్నాయని? నో, 12 కంపలు అక్కడ ఏం లేవు, కింద పడి అన్నీ ఎత్తారన్నారు. 12 మీన్స్ అన్ని. దట్స్ ద మీనింగ్ ఫర్ ఎ జూయిష్ వర్డ్. 12 means all. We are 12 tribes. So whenever they use the word 12, it's all. 12 కంపలు ఎత్తారంటే కింద పడి అన్నీ ఎత్తారన్నారు. Very simple. As simple as that. So 12 is all. Then what is 7? 7 is perfect. మనం చిన్నప్పుడు తొక్కుడు బిళ్ళ ఆడేటప్పుడు ప్రాబ్లం వచ్చిందనుకో ఇంకోసారి అంటారు, ముచ్చటగా 3సారి అంటాం. తొక్కుడు బిళ్ళ ఆడేటప్పుడు కూడా 3. పెళ్లి చేసుకోవాలనుకున్నప్పుడు 3 సార్లు 3 అంటాం. ఒకవేళ కోపం వచ్చి పీకేయాలంటే కూడా 3 సార్లు తలాకంటే సరిపోదు. So that's it. So 3 is very predominant for the Eastern culture. 7 is perfect for a Jewish person. ఏదైనా సరే 7 times చెప్పారంటే కనుక that's perfect, that's complete, that's the understanding. So the number that is maximum used in the book of Revelation is 7. 54 times 7 has been used in the book of Revelation. 54 times. 7 trumpets. 7 bowls, 7, whatever it is, 7 is used. And Jesus Christ has picked up 7 churches. 7 churches. In fact, there are more than 7 churches. The 7 churches that were picked up are, the number 1 is Ephesus, number 2 is Smyrna, number 3 is Pergamum, number 4 is Sardis, number 4 is Thyatira, number 5 is Sardis, number 6 is Philadelphia, number 7 is Laodicea. Do you know why Jesus picked up these 7 churches? For several reasons. Reason number 1, it's perfect for the Jewish people. Reason number 2, the character of these 7 churches is the character of the whole world. The church in the world. That's the second one. The third one is, if anybody is taking these letters and they go by ship from Patmos to Turkey, and they reach Ephesus, that's the harbor, that reach the harbor, Ephesus, and they give the letter to Ephesus, they go north, they come to Smyrna, 64 kilometers, they again go north, they go to Pergamum, that's about 40 kilometers, and from there, they go west, they go east and they get Thyatira, and then they go further east, they get Sardis, then they come down south, then they get Philadelphia, then from there, they come west, they got Laodicea. The whole road is like a C, alphabet C. It's one road. So a person runs and gives the letter like a postman. So that's the second reason why Jesus has picked up these 7 churches. So 7 churches were there at that time, and each church has one character. For example, Ephesus, it has a great theology but lost the love. Smyrna, it was going through tough situation and it was strong. Pergamum, it was living a nominal life. Then comes Thyatira, it started getting into the world. Then comes Sardis, it accepted other religions. Then it comes Philadelphia. Philadelphia is missional. Then comes Laodicea, which is totally useless. So these are the 7 churches. There are other churches. There was Colossae, there was Thessalonica, there was Corinth. But Jesus has picked up only 7 churches. So these were existing, 2nd and 3rd chapter. To these churches, the letter was written. Now, Jesus is very holy person. Jesus is a person who is communicating to the whole world. So he gave an outline with 3 topics. Topic number 1, what you have seen. Topic number 2, what is there. Topic number 3, what is going to happen. But let me give you an introduction in my style. And it's very simple. When you are narrating a story, when you are telling a story, ఒక స్టోరీ చెప్పేటప్పుడు మొట్టమొదటిగా అడిగేది ఏంటంటే ఈ స్టోరీ ఎవరి గురించి రాని, హూ ఇస్ ద హీరో. చాప్టర్ 1, హూ ఇస్ ద హీరో. చాప్టర్ 2 and 3, వాట్ ఈస్ ద గ్యాంగ్, తనకుంటే గ్యాంగ్ పేరేంటి, తనలో గ్యాంగ్లో ఎవరెవరు ఉంటారు. దట్స్ చాప్టర్ 2 and 3. 4 నుంచి 22 దాకా ఆయన చేసేదేంటి, 4 నుంచి 22 దాకా. Again, I'll subdivide it. 4 and 5, what he will do in heaven. 4 and 5, what he will do in heaven. 6 to 18, what he will do on the earth. Chapter 19, what he will do when he is coming the second time. 20 to 22, what he will do in eternity. మొదటి అధ్యాయం హీరో ఎవరు, 2-3 అధ్యాయాలు ఆయన గ్యాంగ్ పేరేంటి, 4 నుంచి 5 పరలోకంలో ఏం చేస్తాడు, 6 నుంచి 18 భూలోకంలో ఏం చేస్తాడు, 19 వచ్చేటప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తాడు, 20 నుంచి 22 నిత్యత్వంలో ఏం చేస్తాడు. ఎవరికైనా 6 to 18 భయం వేస్తుంది. భయం వేసిందంటే నువ్వు నరకానికి వెళ్ళేవాడివని అర్థం అనమాట, నీవు మార్మన్స్ పొందలేదని అర్థం అనమాట. ఓకే, ద వార్ ఈస్ బిట్వీన్ ది గుడ్ అండ్ బ్యాడ్. సో ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ ఆన్ ద గుడ్ సైడ్, you will be sure, I'm going to win, man. So you'll be very confident. So that's the brief outline for the book of Revelation. Okay, this is predominantly written to comfort John and the people going through a lot of difficulties. Okay, but today what we are going to do is we are going to look at one of the letters written to the church, a church, one of the letters. Okay, but let me give you an outline to these letters. These letters have 4 characters. These letters have 4 characters. These letters were written to the churches that were real, and they were very much practical letters. Like Ephesus lost the first love, the letter speaks about the love. So these letters are very practical. Modern, practical. If it is a personal letter to Ephesus, if a personal letter to Smyrna, why should I read? That's your question. Though it is written to them, they also speak about us. So they are prophetical. Number one is practical. Number two is prophetical. And these letters were dictated by Jesus Christ. Jesus was telling and John was writing. Anything that comes out of the mouth of Jesus Christ is powerful. So that is the third character. Number one, practical. Number two, prophetical. Number three, powerful. Number four, every letter ends up with one statement. చెవులు కలిగిన వాడు వినును గాక. హలో ఇంటున్నావా? నీకే భయ చెప్తున్నా ఇంటున్నావా? It's very personal. So these are the four characters. Number one is practical. Number two is prophetical. Number three is powerful. Number four is personal. Okay? These are the characters in general for all the 7 letters. And now when we take each letter, each letter follows a system. There is a rhythm. And every letter has the same cycle. Every letter has the same outline. And the outline is this. మనకి కళ్ళ జబ్బు వస్తే ఎక్కడికి వెళ్తాం? కళ్ళ డాక్టర్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్తాం. గుండె జబ్బు వస్తే గుండె జబ్బు డాక్టర్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్తాం. ఆడు కళ్ళ డాక్టరో గుండె జబ్బు డాక్టరో మనకి ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది? అయ్యింది బాయ్, అంత ఫేస్ అలా సీరియస్గా పెట్టారు. ఎట్లా తెలుస్తుంది? డిగ్రీ చూస్తే అర్థమవుతుంది. ఎడ్వర్డ్ విలియమ్స్, ఎంఎస్ కార్డియాలజీ, ఆయన కార్డియాలజిస్ట్. ఆ డిగ్రీ చూస్తే వీడి గుండె జబ్బు డాక్టరా, ఆడి దగ్గర పోదాం. సో దట్స్ ది సిచ్యుయేషన్. సో డాక్టర్ అండ్ హిస్ డిగ్రీస్. ఎవ్రీ లెటర్ స్టార్ట్స్ విత్ అ డాక్టర్ అండ్ డిగ్రీస్. నేను మీ డాక్టర్ని, నా డిగ్రీ అది జీసస్ యొక్క ఇంట్రొడక్షన్. నేను మీ డాక్టర్ని, నా డిగ్రీలు ఇవి. జీసస్ ఇంట్రడ్యూసెస్ హిమ్సెల్ఫ్. దట్ స్టేజ్ 1. డాక్టర్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత ఏం చేస్తాడైనా? డాక్టర్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత ఏం చేస్తాడు? జబ్బులు ఏంటి ఎలా చెప్తాడు? సో దట్ ఈస్ ద సెకండ్ థింగ్, diagnosis and disease. Number 1, drugs, doctor and degrees. Number 2, diagnosis and disease. Disease ఏంటో తెలిసిన తర్వాత డాక్టర్ ఏం చేస్తాడు? మందులు రాస్తాడు, డ్రగ్స్. ఓకే, డ్రగ్స్ గురించి చెప్పిన తర్వాత ఇది పొద్దున వేసుకో, ఇది మధ్యాహ్నం వేసుకో, ఇది సాయంత్రం వేసుకో చెప్తాడు. ఎక్కువ వేసుకుంటే కనుక పోతావు, వేసుకోవడం మానేస్తే కనుక ఏడుస్తావు. దాన్ని డిక్లరేషన్ అంటాం. So these are the 4 headings. Number 1, doctor and degrees. Number 2, diagnosis and disease. Number 3, drugs. Number 4, declaration. Any letter, all these 7 letters will have these 4 outlines. Okay? There are 7 letters. In these 7 letters, 2 letters. 2 చర్చిల్ని అసలు ఏం తిట్టలేదు. ఎందుకంటే వాళ్ళకి జబ్బు లేదు. ఎవరా 2 చర్చిలు అంటే, ఒకటి స్ముర్నా, రెండోది ఫిలదెల్ఫియా. 2 చర్చిల్ని అసలు మెచ్చుకోలేదు. ఎందుకంటే వాళ్ళు పూర్తిగా వేస్ట్ కాదు. ఒకడు సార్దిస్, రెండోది లెవోదోకియా. అర్థమైందా? 2 churches completely waste, 2 churches completely good. So this is a kind of an outline to the 7 churches. Having given this kind of outline to the whole book of Revelation and also the outline to the 7 churches, I want to read only 4 verses, the smallest letter written to the greatest church at that time, the church at Smyrna. If you have your Bibles, open with me to book of Revelation. From verse 8 to verse 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. Just 4 verses. Okay? Now, again, let me see your faces. Let me give you an introduction to the city called Smyrna. Okay? These are 7 cities, and in each city there was a small church. The name of the church is derived from the city. Because it is a very practical letter, the letter written to the exact situation, we should know little about this town called Smyrna and how the church was started in Smyrna. Smyrna is one of the oldest towns existing at that time. Oldest towns. Smyrna was existing from the time of Abraham. That is 2000 BC. Abraham never came to Smyrna, but I'm just giving you a time frame. Okay? From that time, Smyrna was there. Smyrna was actually a city started by Hittites. Hittites. Okay? And in 700 BC, the town was demolished for reasons we don't know. But in the year 334 BC, Alexander got a dream. And in that dream, he said here, God told him, hey, rebuild this city called Smyrna. So Alexander decided to rebuild this city. He built this city. It's a very beautiful city built by Alexander. This city is like Vizag. Do you know why I'm calling it as Vizag? It's a beach, and if anybody is from Vizag, if you are traveling by road from Vizag to Bimili, the road will be in the shape of a C, and on one side is the beautiful sea, on the other side is the mountains, and the road will be beautiful. So Smyrna is something like this. They have a C-shaped harbor, beach, and Alexander built a road in the shape of C. On the either side of the road ki irupakala, he built huge temples. Pedda temples katted. He built the temple to Zeus, okay, the god of Greeks. So that's how it became a temple city in 334 BC. It's a very beautiful city. Smyrna, by the way, means it is like mire. Mire and that's kada bottom. Do you know why when mire was used for Jesus Christ, or how many times mire was used for Jesus Christ? It was used thrice. When Jesus was born, wise men brought mire. Number two, before Jesus died, when he was on the cross, they actually gave, with sponge, hippos. They gave this mire. And the third one, after Jesus died, they applied mire onto his body to protect, to shield him, to mummify him. So mire was used thrice. So Smyrna means mire. So it's a beautiful name. So that's how the Smyrna city has come. But when the Roman civilization has come, there was a king by name, emperor by name Augustus. You know Augustus? Augustus wanted to take Smyrna as his special city. So in the Asia Minor, he declared Smyrna as the first municipality. He has declared Smyrna as the first city. So Smyrna has a prestigious name, the first city of Asia Minor. And not only that, he built a temple in Smyrna. Temple for whom? Temple for himself. తన కోసమే గుడి కట్టుకున్నాడు. లోన ఔగుస్తు రాజు కూర్చుంటాడు, అగస్టస్. ఆయనకు కొబ్బరికాయలు కొడతారు, ఆయనకు పూజలు చేస్తారు, అగరబత్తీలు వెలిగిస్తారు. So the emperor worship has started in Smyrna. After Augustus died, Nero came. Nero also built a temple in Smyrna. After Nero died, Tiberius came. Tiberius also built a temple himself. And after Tiberius, Domitian came. And when Domitian came, he wanted to have a temple for himself. At that time, Jesus wrote this letter. So that's a brief introduction to the city of Smyrna. City of Smyrna is a political junction. It is the first cosmopolitan city, and it's the first municipality. It's having a prestigious history, and it is the city where the emperor worship started. Okay, so that's the brief background of Smyrna. Let me tell you how the gospel came to Smyrna. When Paul landed in Ephesus, Paul was in Ephesus for 3 years. Okay, when he was in Ephesus, the usual style of Paul was this. Every day he used to go and preach the gospel. If anybody hears the gospel, he will tell, hey, come to Tyrannus at 4 o'clock. I'm going to teach you more about Jesus Christ. People used to come to Tyrannus. From 4 to 6, he used to teach them. So people who are taught by Paul, they used to go and share gospel in their towns and villages, and they started churches. For example, there was a boy by name Epaphras. He came to Ephesus, heard the gospel from Paul, became a Christian, was discipled by Paul, and he went back and he started 3 churches. Church at Colossae, church at Hierapolis, and church at Laodicea. 3 places. One man started. So the situation is this. When Paul was in Ephesus, the whole of Asia Minor had the gospel presented. In 3 years. In 3 years. The gospel went to nearly 6 countries. Paul did not go there, but the gospel went. So 64 kilometers north of Ephesus is Smyrna. So some believers came from Ephesus and they started church in Smyrna. The church was growing. It's a very small church. It's a very solid church. It's a very sincere church. And it's a church where it's very sensitive. So this is the character of Smyrna. As we read this letter, we will try to understand more about Smyrna. Okay? I gave the political background of Smyrna. I gave the spiritual background of Smyrna. Now let me give you one more information before we go into this letter. Why are we studying this letter now? If you are from India, if you want to know what would be the position of church in the next 5 years, that's there in these 4 verses. ఇండియాలో రానున్నటువంటి 5 సంవత్సరాల్లో క్రైస్తవులు ఎలాంటి పొజిషన్లో ఉంటారు అన్నది ఈ 4 వచనాల్లో మనకు కనబడుతుంది. రానున్నటువంటి 5 ఇయర్స్లో వరల్డ్ మొత్తంలో క్రిస్టియానిటీ ఈజ్ గోయింగ్ టు ఫేస్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ టఫ్ సిచ్యుయేషన్, లాట్ ఆఫ్ టఫ్ ఛాలెంజెస్. చాలా కఠినమైనటువంటి సిచ్యుయేషన్ ఎదుర్కోబోతుంది. సో ద ఆప్షన్ ఈజ్ విత్ యూ. మీ ముందే ఉన్నది. యూ వాంట్ టు బి అ క్రిస్టియన్ ఆర్ యూ వాంట్ టు లీవ్ క్రైస్ట్. నువ్వు క్రైస్తవుడిగా ఉంటావా, యేసుక్రీస్తుని వదిలేదలుచుకుంటావా? యూ డిసైడ్. ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు ఫాలో క్రైస్ట్, యూ షుడ్ నాట్ బి అషేమ్డ్, యూ షుడ్ బి బోల్డ్, యూ షుడ్ బి సెన్సిటివ్, యూ షుడ్ బి సిన్సియర్. దట్స్ ఆల్. If you are not sincere, if you are not solid, if you are not sensitive, you cannot be a Christian. You cannot be a spiritual person. నువ్వు ఆత్మీయమైనటువంటి వ్యక్తిగా ఉండలేవు. సో దాన్ని ఈ 4 వర్సెస్లో మనం చూడబోతున్నాం. ఓకే, I gave you a huge introduction, so it should not be a difficult for you to understand. So introduction is long, message will be short. Okay, don't worry. Right? Let's look at verse 8. And to the angel of the church in Smyrna write, the words of the first and the last who died and came to life. So this letter is written to the angel of the church in Smyrna. What do you mean by the angel? Don't think there will be 6 wings and things like that. Angel is something like that. For example, if I have to write something to Texas Believers Bible Fellowship, what I will do? I can't write letters to everybody. If I write letter to the leaders like Arthur or anybody, it goes to everybody. So Arthur is kind of an angel to the Texas Believers Bible Fellowship. So there is a pastor, there is a leader, and that leader is the angel. So that's what it means. So to the pastor, you send this letter. And now Jesus introduces himself. He introduces himself with 3 words. He says, these are the words of the first, the last, who died and rose again. So this is a kind of introduction Jesus gave. Why did Jesus say, I am the first and the last? ఎందుకని నేను మొదటి వాడను అని మొదలు పెట్టాడు. ఎందుకనంటే స్ముర్ణ వాళ్ళు చాలా గ్రేట్గా ఫీల్ అయ్యేవాళ్ళు. మేమే #1 కస్మోపాలిటన్ సిటీ, మేమే #1 మున్సిపాలిటీ, మేమే #1 అని చెప్పుకునేవాళ్ళు అనమాట. నేనే #1. దట్స్ వాట్ దే యూజ్డ్ టు సే. ఓకే, నేనే #1 అంటే కొంతమంది తల ఉంచుకొని నవ్వుకుంటున్నారు, వాళ్ళకి గతం గుర్తొచ్చి ఉంటుంది. Right? Okay, so Jesus said like this, hey guys, let me tell you one thing. You say that you are the #1 city. I agree, you are the #1 city. You are the #1 city in Asia Minor. You started existing from the last 2000 years. But let me introduce myself. I am #1 for this world. Ee duniya ke #1 ra bhai. I am the first. I am the one who started this. So when you think of your #1 shape, what about mine? I am even before you. నీకంటే ముందు ఉన్నాను. If you think you have come to this level, I have gone to that level. So that's the introduction he gives. And the second one he says is, I am the last. నువ్వు #1 అని చెప్తున్నావు కానీ ఎప్పుడు దాకా ఉంటావు నీకు తెలియదు. కానీ నేనేం చెప్తాను తెలుసా, నేను #1 కాదు, నేను చివరి దాకా ఉంటాను. నేను ఐఎమ్ ద ఫస్ట్ అండ్ ద లాస్ట్. ఐఎమ్ ద బిగినింగ్ అండ్ ద ఎండ్. I have so many books in my library at my home. So many books in my library. But let me tell you one thing. If you take any book in the library, it has only one of these letters. 26 letters. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, Z. That's all. It won't have any other letters. Only these 26. A to Z. That's all. Jesus says, I am the A and I am the Z. And have you seen the logo of Amazon? If you see the logo of Amazon, AMAZON, they have an arrow from A to Z. Do you know why they have that arrow? We deal with everything. That's what we mean. Jesus says, I'm the Amazon of the world. That's what he says. If I have to speak your language. So that's what he says. I'm A to Z. That's what he says. I'm the first and I'm the last. I know everything, man. I know everything. And then he says, who died? And why did he use the word who died? క్లాస్లో 10 మంది ఉన్నారు, 8 మంది పాస్ అయ్యారు, నేను ఒక్కడిని ఫెయిల్ అయ్యారు, నాతో పాటు ఇంకొకటి ఫెయిల్ అయ్యారు. క్లాస్లో 10 మంది ఉన్నారు, 8 మంది పాస్ అయ్యారు, 2 ఫెయిల్ అయ్యారు. నాకు జీవితంలో ఆదరణ ఎవరు ఇవ్వగలరో తెలుసా? ఒక్కడే ఇవ్వగలుగుతారు, ఇంకో ఫెయిల్ అయినాడు. ఇంకెప్పుడు ఇవ్వలేడు. అర్థమైందా? If you have a bad tooth, do you know who can comfort you? Somebody who has a bad tooth, they can comfort you. So Jesus says, అరే మీలో చాలా మంది చచ్చారా? నేను కూడా చచ్చాను రా భయ్. మీలో చాలా మందిని కొట్టారా? నన్ను కూడా కొట్టారు. మిమ్మల్ని చాలా మంది గలీజ్ మాట్లాడినారా? నన్ను కూడా అన్నారు భయ్. నీ ముఖం మీద ఉమ్మేశారా? నా ముఖం మీద కూడా వేశారు. I have gone through the same pain, man. I went through the same kind of difficulties. I went through the same kind of persecution. You were killed and I was also killed. You were crucified, I was also crucified. You were tortured, I was also tortured. So I can understand you. I died. So he gives you a kind of a comfort. ఆదరణ ఇచ్చాడు. నేను చనిపోయిన వాడిని. And then ఆదరణే కాదు, ఆశను కూడా కల్పిస్తాడు ఆయన. ఎలాగో తెలుసా? చచ్చిపోయిన వాళ్ళ నుంచి తిరిగి వచ్చిన వాడిని బయటికి. I'm the one who rose again, who came back to life. I can understand you because I died like you. I can comfort you and bring you out of that problems because I have conquered death. నేను మరణంపై విజయాన్ని సాధించినవాడు కాబట్టి నిన్ను ఆదరించగలను. I can give you the real comfort. So Jesus, by giving these 4 words, I am the first, I am the last, I died and rose again, he gives a huge introduction to them. I have solution to all your problems. I can address your pride, I can address your question, I can address your issue, I can give you hope, everything. So this one sentence gives a huge introduction about Jesus Christ. Having given that kind of introduction, now he comes into the diagnosis. He says like this, I know your tribulation and your poverty, but you are rich, and the slander of those who say that they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Do not fear what you are about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison, that you may be tested, and for 10 days you will have tribulation. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. Now, if you look at these 2 verses, he gives a huge diagnosis. I'm not going to drink. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I love you. Okay, so these 2 verses actually gives a kind of a diagnosis, the kind of situation they are going through. He says, I know your tribulation and your poverty. నీ శ్రమను నేను ఎరుగుదును. If anybody of you is going through pain, any kind of pain, if you are going through any kind of pain, usually the general understanding of a believer is this: I'm going through pain, I'm going through tribulation, I'm going through a kind of suffering, probably God has left me. నేను శ్రమ గుండా వెళ్తున్నాను, బాధలు గుండా వెళ్తున్నాను, కష్టాలు గుండా వెళ్తున్నాను, దేవుడు నన్ను వదిలేశాడేమో, దేవుడు నన్ను మర్చిపోయాడేమో, దేవుడు నా నుంచి దూరం అయిపోయాడేమో. దట్స్ ది జనరల్ కానోటేషన్. బట్ లెట్ మీ టెల్ యూ వన్ థింగ్. ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ ఎ బిలీవర్ అండ్ ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ గోయింగ్ త్రూ ట్రిబులేషన్, if you are a believer and if you are going through pain, if you are a believer and if you are facing suffering, let me tell you one thing: God is so close to you. God is in the closest position when you are in suffering. Think of Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Jesus was inside the fire. Think of Daniel. The angels were inside the den. Think of Paul and Silas. God has sent angel into the prison. If you are going through tribulation, if you are a believer, remember, God is with you. He will not leave you. He will not leave you. But what God says is this: I know your tribulation. That means when you are beaten, when you are slandered, when you are punished, when you are persecuted, when people are spitting on you, when people are putting down, I'm watching. I'm watching. Jesus, what is this? If you're watching, why you're not stopping? Jesus, if they are putting me down, why don't you punish them? Why don't you curse them? Jesus says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I want you to go through that tribulation. I want you to go through that suffering. My friends, the message I'm giving to you may be ridiculous to you. Some of you may find it beyond your heads. But that's what is going to happen. You're going through a tribulation, and I know it. And he says, I know your poverty. What do you mean by poverty here? In those days, in Smyrna, the Roman authorities, they used to ask this question. The question is this: who is your Lord? If I say, Caesar is the Lord, then the ration would be given. If I don't say, they won't give you ration. They won't provide you food. They won't give you facilities. You'll have all kinds of problems because you have accepted Christ. Because you have accepted Christ. My friends, in this world, in many countries, if you are a Christian, if you are a born-again Christian, if you are a believer, you are looked down. You don't get promotion. You are not showed favor. You go through a lot of difficulties. Even in US, in cities like San Diego, in cities like Fremont, in cities like Seattle, in the cubicles of your office, you can have Ganapati, but you cannot have a cross. Am I speaking your language? That's the world we are living in. This is the country on which whose currency says, in God we trust. They have a Ganapati. But if you have a cross, if you have a Bible verse, oh, cross. People will look down. People will ridicule you. People will slander you. And you will not be shown favor. You will be put into all kinds of problems. You will be asked so many questions. That Christian boozes, why don't you booze? That Christian comes to a party, why don't you come? That Christian takes the prasadam, why don't you take? These are the questions you face. Am I speaking your language? Yes. And if you deny, people will look down. People will won't favor you. And Jesus says, that's what exactly is going to happen. You go through a kind of a tribulation, you can't even say it to anybody else. You can't even express it to anybody else. Nobody can understand you. If you go and tell your friends, Emravai prasadam తీసుకుంటే ఏమైంది? తీసేరా క్రాస్ తీసే అక్కడి నుంచి. పార్టీగలరా ఒకసారి పెద్దదాగా ఏమవుతుంది? Very simple. For them, it's a moment. But for a Christian, it's his life. It's a moment for them. For Christians, it's life. So you go through that kind of struggles. Jesus says, I know the poverty. Because of me, you're going through that kind of poverty. And then within brackets, he says, but you are rich. In the sight of the world, you are poor. In the sight of the world, you are a failure. In the sight of the world, you have lost everything. In fact, in the sight of the world, you are a fool. But let me tell you one thing. In my sight, you are rich. You are rich. The reason is, you have denied the facilities for my sake. You have denied to compromise. You have denied to get into the world. You have denied to get into the stream. You wanted to stand straight. And I can see your richness. The richness which no one can see. I could see it. My friends, you're from India. And most of you from the Telugu lands. So let me give you a kind of a statistics about the two Telugu states. 20 years ago, in Andhra Pradesh, at that time it's one state, in Andhra Pradesh, there were 5.68 Christians according to the census. 5.68 Christians according to census. That means if there are 10, if there were 100, 6 of them are Christians. 20 years ago. Today, in Andhra, there are only 1.32 Christians as far as the census. In Telangana, 1.67 Christians as far as the census. Why? Why? Christians have declared themselves as Hindus. Why? To get privileges, to get facilities, to get promotion. If you want to be a scheduled caste person, you have to write in the religion column, Hindu. You come to church, say hallelujah, go to the office and say Hare Rama. In the church, your name is Samuel. On the road, you are Somaya. Yeah. Dual identity. Shame on you people. Shame. You have denied Jesus Christ in public. You are spitting on Jesus Christ on his face. Judas denied Jesus Christ for $30. Peter denied Jesus Christ out of fear. And you, for the sake of promotion, for the sake of piece of land, what is your identity according to the government? Look at it. And do you know what Jesus said? Hey guys, if you deny me here in public, when you come there, when the father asks, my son, who are these guys? I'm so sorry, I don't know them. That would be the answer from Jesus. What? Yeah, I don't know them. I don't know them. Imagine you stand there and Jesus says, I don't know you. That's a horrible situation. You can't debate. You can't discuss. You can't argue at that time. You have to bow down and get off from that place. Do you want to face such a situation? And that's why Paul says, do not be ashamed. Do not be ashamed. My friends, people will put you down. But if you are willing to take that, for eternity, you will be having pride. For eternity, you will be having pride. So I know your tribulation and I know your poverty, but you are rich. And the slander of those who say that they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Do you know where from the Christians in Smyrna are facing the problems? They are facing the problem from the Jewish people. See, there are 3 kinds of people in Smyrna. The Romans, the Jews, and the people who converted into Christianity. These are the 3 groups. The Jewish people, to get favor from the Roman authorities, do you know what they used to do? They used to go and say, this fellow is not accepting Caesar as Lord. That fellow is worshipping Jesus Christ. They used to go and tell the authorities. And the authorities used to punish these people, and they used to give promotions to the Jewish people. So, to get promotion, they went and started telling about Christians to the Roman authorities. I'll give you one example, the horrible example. There used to be a pastor, a bishop in Smyrna. His name was Polycarp. Polycarp was the disciple of John. So when he was running the church, when he was 86 years old, he was asked, he was called and he was asked, do you believe that Caesar is the Lord? He denied. And what they brought is, they brought a bronze dish. Ittadidi oka pedda basin lati తీసుకొచ్చాడు, bronze dish. They put it on a stove, and at that time they don't have gas or kerosene or whatever it is. They used to bring wood. So they brought wood and they heated the dish and they poured little oil. And after the oil was poured, when the dish was completely with oil, do you know what they did? They put Polycarp in that dish. That means they made Polycarp a kebab. When Polycarp was dying, They said, at least now you deny Jesus Christ. Do you know what he said? For 86 long years, he carried me. Do you want me to leave him in the last minute? And he died. And that happened on a Sabbath. Sabbath is Saturday. On Sabbath, Jewish people don't work. But do you know what the Jewish people did? They went into the jungle, brought the dry wood, and heated the bronze dish. That's what the history says. So they are the Jewish people, and they were creating all kinds of problems. So Jesus says, who say that they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. You face problems not from outsiders. Many a times, it's from an insider. It's from an insider. You face the problem. My friends, let me tell you one thing. Yesterday, Mr. Nayak and his wife, they came and they shared their testimony. The three children were burned. And when they were sharing, it's an emotional moment. My friends, when you have an attack from outside, you can get onto a stage and give a testimony or share your testimony or share your life, and people can understand you. Imagine you face a problem from a fellow believer. What do? Can you share it with anybody? But you have to go through that struggle. So that's the situation here. Believers face problems not from outside, but from inside. Your enemy is not outside, your enemy is inside. And that's the situation. I know you face the problem from inside. Jesus Christ, if he was having a person who is about to deceive him outside, it would have been easy. It's one among the 12 disciples. It's one among the 12 disciples. He could not share that even till the last minute. Why? It's from inside. So Jesus says, if you have a deceiver within your fellowship, I know how it looks. Because I was deceived by one of my own friends. I was the one who picked him up. Hey buddy, come on man, let's join that party. That's what I said 3.5 years ago. And today he gives me a kiss and then hands me over for 30 bucks. I know that, how difficult it is. You face problem from within. Last year on May 6th, I was traveling from Kodad in Telangana to Tanuku by car. I was going by car, and the driver who was supposed to drive the car, the last minute, 10 minutes before the takeoff said, I'm feeling sleepy and I can't drive. So the coordinator of the conference, he was driving the car. It's a Swift Desire. We started the car at 12 o'clock and we were starting, and people said, Anna, something is drooping. Then this man said, we just on the AC, so the water may be falling. So we went off. We started from Kodad, crossed Vijayawada. We were about to reach Elur. That means we traveled over 100 miles. Okay? And it was so suffocating at that time. So a toll gate was coming. So I just lifted my head and I was seeing back. I saw something was dropping. So I said, can you take the vehicle aside? Something is dropping. Let's check. So we realized that the gas is leaking. So we found whether the cap was intact or not. The cap was intact. So he had to open the dashboard in the front. And what was ridiculous in that moment is the pipe that connects to the main engine, it was opened up and left outside. And this guy, he's from a Banjara community, the one who is driving. He picked up his phone and called his friends, and he was speaking in Banjara. Because I know Marathi, I know Hindi, I know in Telugu, I was able to Kannada, because Banjara is a combination of Canaries, Marathi and Hindi. So I was able to pick up some words, and what I realized was this: it was intentional. They wanted to kill me. They wanted to kill me. And it was planned by the believers. If I have to use that word. It was planned by Christians. My friends, several times I was under attack. And God saved me thus far. And one day He may say, it's enough man, get lost. It might happen. And if that happens, praise God, I'm going to have a best place in heaven. It's cool. But Jesus says, you're going to face problems from your own community. So my friends, if you say, my fellow believer is like this, my sister is like this, My brother is like this. My pastor is like this. My elder is like this. It's common. You're bound to face it. You're bound to face it. And then he says, do not fear what you are about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison. That you may be tested, and for 10 days you will have tribulation. Be faithful unto death, I will give you the crown of life. Jesus did not give a kind of a comforting word. Hey, you're going to suffer, don't worry, I'm going to save you. He never said that. Hey, they're going to kill you, don't worry, I'm going to come like hero, the Tollywood hero. In the last minute, I'll pick you up. No, I'm not going to come. I'll be standing there and I will see you dying. That's what he said. He's not going to stop. Many of you may make statements like this. Anna, I go to church every Sunday. You know, I read Bible every day. You know, I pray every night. You know, I give my tithe. You know, I involve in mission agency. You know, I involve in evangelism. But still, this problem is prevailing. Let me tell you one thing. If you want the problem to stop, you leave Jesus Christ. Do you want the problem to be solved here, or the problem to be solved there permanently? You decide. You decide. If you want the problem to be solved here, the best thing I can suggest you is this. Leave Jesus Christ and get into the world and enjoy. ऐसे नोदले पब्लिक లో గెల్లు బిందాస్ జీవించు ఓ 25 ఏళ్ళైనా హ్యాపీగా జీవిస్తాం. That's it. But if you are willing to go through tribulation, if you are willing to go through the suffering, if you are faithful unto death, that's what Jesus says. If you are faithful unto death, hey, I'm going to give you the crown of life. Crown of life doesn't come easily. If you want the crown of life, you have to go through this kind of difficulties. You must go through this kind of turmoil. I'm making it very much clear. I'm not deceiving you. I'm not trying to lure you with my active words. I'm saying it very clearly. You are going to face the problems. Jesus several times said like this, hey, if anybody wants to follow me, take up the cross and follow. And you will be ridiculed. You will be put onto the cross. You will be killed. If you are willing to do that, come here. My friends, let me give you a brief idea of what's happening in India. There is a ministry called Open Door Ministries. You can Google it. Open Door. That's it. You'll get the whole site. Open Doors is the ministry that actually tries to comfort the people who are persecuted. Christians who are persecuted. So they have ways and means to find out how the Christians are persecuted across the world. Every year, what they try to do is this. They pick up the top 50 countries where the Christians are persecuted the most. Top 50 countries. For the first time, India appeared in the top 50 countries 7 years ago. 7 years ago. And 5 years ago, India is number 21 in the world. Today, 2014, number 21. Today, 2019, India is number 10. India is number 10. Number 1 is North Korea. Number 2 is Afghanistan. Number 3 is Eritrea. Number 4 is Yemen. Number 5 is Pakistan. Number 10 is India. Number 11 is Syria. Number 12 is Saudi Arabia. Number 15 is Egypt. Number 17 is Kuwait. Number 19 is UAE. There is more persecution in India than in Saudi Arabia. There is more persecution in India than Syria. There is more persecution in India than in Kuwait. There is more persecution in India than in UAE. In the year 2018, 4,500 Christians were killed in India alone. And the BJP, which came into the power, it's very much clear. It's not hiding anything. We are not here for minorities. We want to establish the Hindu nation. And the Supreme Court is already given A homework. The homework is, it started in a Christian state called Meghalaya. It started in a Christian state called Meghalaya. The Christian state Meghalaya High Court has raised a question. Why are you calling it as India when we are Hindus? And they want to rename India as Hindu. And that has come from High Court of Meghalaya. And they have directed the Supreme Court, why don't you think about it? When Indian Constitution was first written by Baba Sahib Ambedkar, he never used the word secular. After 5 years, there was an amendment in the Constitution. And in the preamble, the word secular as added. And now, the BJP government wants to remove the word secular. And they want to declare India as a Hindu nation. And they're going to do it. And they're bound to do it. My friends, I'm on live. I don't have any fear. I'm not ashamed. I'm not timid. I'm bold. I'm bold enough to tell you, friends, if you want to be a Christian, you should not be ashamed. You must be ready to be killed. Then only you can get the crown of life. If you are not interested, if you are feeling shy, get lost, man. Get lost. Get away. Jesus is very clear. And then he says, do not fear what you are about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison, that you may be tested for 10 days. You will have tribulation. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. What is this concept of 10 days? There are two ways of understanding 10 days. One 10 days people have understood like this. From the year 30 AD to 313 AD, from 30 AD to 313 AD, there were 10 emperors. 10 emperors, Roman emperors. All these 10 emperors, like Augustus, Tiberius, Nero, Domitian, these are all the Roman emperors. Every Roman emperor persecuted 10 emperors. Then came the 11th emperor. His name is Constantine. He was a Christian. So for 10 days means 10 emperor days. That's the one meaning. The other meaning of 10 days is this. Rondrol untava, konni roju. Alaga, 10 days for a Jew is some days. You know Eliphaz, he was sent by Abraham to find a wife for his son. So he found a wife, he found a lady, and he went to their home and said, I'm going to take her. If you read Genesis 25 verse 44, they say, hey, you take this girl, but let her be with us for 10 days. Let her be with us for 10 days. What they meant was this, if she is with us for few days, we will have that homesickness gone, and then we'll take her. So that's the intention for 10 days suffering. So you're going to face that, and then you will have tribulation. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. Then I'll give you the crown of life. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. The one who conquers will not be hurt by the second death. This is the ultimate declaration. You face the physical death here. I want to tell you, you will avoid this eternal death. If you want to avoid the physical death here, if you compromise here, you cannot escape death. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. My friends, in this last message, I want to tell you one thing. Do you want to be ashamed of the gospel? Are you timid that you don't want to declare that you are a child of God? You better leave Jesus Christ. Better don't come to church. Better don't read the Bible. Enjoy the world. At least you will enjoy this world. Anyhow, you will be going to hell. But if you want to have the eternal life, if you want to have the crown of life, Jesus said, the path is going to be difficult. The path is going to be very tiresome. But let me tell you one thing. I'll be very close to you. My friends, a Christian who is suffering for righteous reason, Though he is suffering outside, he enjoys inside. Though he suffers outside, he enjoys inside. Let me give you this one illustration that tells you in a very practical way what is the joy inside. Few years ago, this happened in Egypt. This happened in Egypt. This video was viral all over the world. And let me give you the whole background of that video viral. 22 Christian leaders, young leaders, were picked up by the terrorist group, ISIS group in Egypt. And they were persecuted. They were made to go through all kinds of suffering. One fine day, they were taken to the beach of the Mediterranean, the seashore of Mediterranean. And they were made to kneel down in the sand. And there were 22 people with small knives. And every individual's neck was cut with that knife. When they were cutting the throats, what they did was, they took a camera and they did a video of each killing. And the video was sent to the mother of the person who was killed. All these 22 people were young, between 21 and 29. There was one mother whose two sons, one is 23 years old, the other one is 26 years old. Both of them have been martyred to death. She got both the videos. She watched those videos so many times. And one fine day, she picked up the phone and called the newspaper people. And she said, both my sons were martyred to death. They sent the video. I watched the video several times. If you guys can come, I want to show you that video. And number two, I want to speak to the people who killed my sons. The only way is I can publish it in the newspaper. If you don't mind, can you come? So this guy has informed all the newspapers people. So there was a kind of a press conference. So they were sitting there. This lady showed the video, and it was a very moving video, because right before her eyes, both the sons were killed. But she was very composed, cool, and she started speaking like this. She said like this, "My God is so good." That's the first word. "My God is so good. When I received this video, He removed all kinds of fears I was going through. Till this video reached me, I was worrying. I was worrying what happened to my sons. I was worrying where my sons are. I was worrying whether they had food or not. I was worrying whether they were allowed to sleep or not. But once I saw the video, I'm sure they are in the most comfortable place this world ever can provide. They are with Jesus Christ. God is good."